In his commentary, Sridhar Swamipad here explains, the transcendental associates of Bhagavan, their speech, or the sound from Krishna, that is not heard in everyone's ears. If one is not a proper recipient or has no patra or vessel to receive that sound from Krishna and his associates, where can they keep it? It is said in this world, if you want to keep the milk of a tiger, you need a golden pot to keep it in. Otherwise, that milk is so powerful it will melt through any other vessel. Therefore, you must have an arrangement to properly receive the sound of Sri Krishna's instructions, or his flute, or the sound from his associates. Otherwise, you cannot keep it with you. Dhanvantari makes a medicine out of different things, but we have to have some vessel to receive it in. So in the same way, Krishna's Vani and his Kirtan, this is not in the fate of everyone to receive. We may hear it, but do we have the samartha or capability to accept it and to follow it in our lives or not? So even if we hear it, we may not be able to benefit completely from it. What to speak of those who do not even have the fortune to hear it? That person who has taken the milk of their mother, they can digest it. In other states, we see people will drink the milk of a camel or the milk of a goat, but mostly they will accept the milk of a cow because that is the same as the milk of a mother. So Krishna's katha and the adaramrita, or the nectar from Krishna's flute from his lips, not everyone has the qualification to accept that, or the ability. We need good qualification. What is that? Jagyata, or qualification? When Krishna played on his flute, hearing that, the Gopis who were milking the cows, they gave that up at once. Their hands no longer were holding on to the udders of the cows. They would have clay pots before, and they would take milk out into the clay pot. But the Brajdevis left the pot there. The calves were loose, or whatever they were doing, they forgot that. Some gopis had taken the milk and put it onto the stove and started to boil it. When people come back, when the gopas come back from the forest after working hard during the daytime, they will take hot milk. So they were preparing this fresh milk for all the gopas, and they also make sweets from it and cook dalia or porridge with the fresh milk and sweets. The Brajbasis have so much adik prem, or special love for goras or milk products. So some gopis would leave the pot of milk cooking porridge on the stove. Whatever they were doing, they gave it up. For example, a few different examples are given to give an idea by Sukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. His point is that whatever the gopis were engaged in, without worrying about completing the task or not, they gave up everything at once and ran to Krishna. What Harikatha is going on? How many people are attracted to that and absorbed in that? It is described that Sukadeva Goswami said, hearing 2 verses by the hunters which were sent by Vyasdev, I was attracted and I came to him. If someone's heart is pure, then Harikatha will enter their heart and they will be attracted by it. Therefore, Our hearts must become pure. If we have no endeavor to purify our hearts, then how can we receive this Harikatha? Their Vani, or their instructions, we will not have the ability to accept and follow them. Vani is a ras, or their speech is a ras, is a type of nectar. It is described, for example, that people are not hungry. They are hungry for ras or prem or love, not just for food and drink. So what is the ras in Bhagavad Vani, or the speech or the sounds from Sri Krishna? That the gopis left milk boiling on the stove, or stopped milking the cows, or if they were serving their husbands, they gave that up, or if they were looking after others' children, they gave that up at once. Here a question arises. The gopis are Kishori maidens. They did not have children yet. When it says here that they were looking after children and they gave them up to go to Ras Lila, this does not mean that were the gopis' children. They were the children of, for example, their elder sisters, or of their aunts, and so forth. The girls in Braj, they know how to do everything, and they do all varieties of service. It is described that their hearts are decorated by Krishna Bhakti. Such people, if they hear any sound from Sri Krishna, like any word from Krishna, or the flute call of Krishna, then they become detached from all kinds of worldly affairs, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. They only have desire for Pancham Purushartha Krishna Prem. Material, attractive things have no ability to pull them and engage them in their respective duties. What is the nature of dharma? Dharma is described to protect those who protect dharma. And does that mean it punishes those who do not follow dharma? No. Instead, it gives an opportunity to properly follow dharma and for people to progress. So, the gopis, they were kishoris, young maidens, girls. They were in their homes, and they always thought about the welfare of everyone. Like the holy rivers, Ganga, Jamuna, Saraswati, these 7 holy rivers, so many people get auspiciousness from them, bathing in them and respecting them. These rivers accept so many filthy things when the rain falls and the water goes through the land and then collects into the rivers. But the rivers do not throw away these waters or not accept them. Instead, they help them, they purify them, and then anyone who comes there also gets benefit. When the gopis heard the sound of Krishna flute and they gave up everything, we should not think that the material affairs suffered in any way. The gopis gave up dharma, artha, kam, and moksha completely. They had no bondage to these things, but still nothing was suffering as a result of the gopis going to serve Krishna. We heard how Yogamaya manifested other new forms of the gopis to stay at home, so there was no disturbance. Some gopis were dressing or putting kajal on one eye, and they ran hearing the sound of the flute with only kajal on one eye. Or one gopi was putting on her sari, but without completing that, with only half of her sari on, she ran like that. Some gopis were cooking dalia or wheat porridge on the stove, but hearing the sound of the flute, they gave that up and began running in the direction of the sound. Jiva Goswami Prabhu says, Sukadev Goswami explains that the Venugit is Param Mohanam, completely attracting everyone who hears it. And the gopis gave up lokika dharma, or their external worldly duties, and ran to Sri Krishna. Why is he telling like this? From his childhood, Krishna helped the Brajavasis and he protected them. Even when he was playing in their laps, Krishna is always protecting the Brajavasis. But what happened next? First, Krishna was in the lap of his mother, and then gradually he would crawl to everyone's homes and steal their butter and meet with the Sakhas and Gopis, but still they wanted to meet with him more closely. There's an example. Guru may do everything for his disciples, but if Guru chastises the disciple, they may become ready to run away from Guru or become against Guru. Like a father takes care of his son for many years, up to 20 years, but when he is knowledgeable and old and mature, then he is ready to run away and not serve the father or think about the father. And he does not give any value or time to his parents because he is so absorbed in worldly affairs and his own pursuits. But the gopis, how are they? What is the nature of the gopis? They are always remembering Sri Krishna or Bhagavan, and they are always waiting for him to call them and accept their service. They think, if Krishna calls me, then I have no attachment to anyone. We cannot be like this so easily. Parikshit Maharaj had some attraction and attachment to this world. Sukadeva Goswami said, if Krishna were to call you, would you leave everything and go to him? You thought before when you were the king, oh, this is my dharma, that is my dharma. But doing your dharma, what happened to you? You got trapped and you received a curse. Like there are many worms or leeches in water, and if you go to a leech-infested pond, then they will attach to your body and drink all your blood. And if you try to pull them off, still their mouths will be attached and will drink your blood. This world is like that for us. We have gone far away from Krishna. When we go a little bit far and a little farther, then we get trapped by so many baddha jivas and material situations that we cannot go back to Krishna. But the gopis were not like that. Even though they were not always with Krishna and they had some distance, still they had no attachment to these people or those places. And as soon as Krishna's call came, they were ready to give up everything without looking back or to either side, and they only ran to Sri Krishna. They were ready to give up everything in a moment. This is their one-pointedness and their speciality. Some gopis were dressing themselves and they heard the sound of the flute and immediately ran out of their homes. Some gopis were milking the cows when they heard the Venu Geet, and they left that at once and ran to the forest of Vrindavan. The different gopis in different groups performed in various were engaged in various activities. There were so many different groups of gopis, but their adipati, or their one and only master and beloved, is Sri Krishna. The gopis could not tolerate to wait for even a moment. As soon as Krishna called, they did not hesitate for even an instant, giving up everything. They ran in the direction of the flute sound. In the Sarata Darshini, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes how when they were going towards Krishna, they felt param utkanta. Utkanta means like an upsurging of enthusiasm and emotion and happiness. Why didn't they go to Krishna when he was, for example, cow grazing, or at other times? Why didn't they run to him then? They did not at those times pass over the proper rules and regulations. Like, they all followed the proper dharma according to their position. So why now did they leave everything and run to Krishna? Before, they will not unshrinkal. Ushrinkal means to be unfettered from rules and regulations. If Krishna calls us for his priti, or his love and affection, then we should go at once. But if Krishna does not call, then we should engage in our duties according to our position in society. In the Gopis' homes, they were all present, engaged in their different services, and internally they were always remembering Krishna's Naam, Rup, Gun and Lila, names, forms, qualities and pastimes, and were serving. But today, when Krishna gave his Shakti and the nectar of his lips into the flute and played a very sweet melody, calling the Gopis, then, hearing Krishna's invitation, they immediately left everything and went to him. For example, the jiva who has a material body is in this worldly existence. When the Yamadutas come, or the messengers of the king of death in the hellish regions, when they come, will they wait for us to finish our worldly affair? Will we say, "Oh, come in a little while, come a little later, I'm not ready to die yet, I'm still busy, I have some work left, I have to talk to my family, I have to finish this job"? The Yamadutas will not listen. If we are not ready to go at once, first they will put a hook in us and will pull us. If still we do not come, then they will put a noose around our neck and drag us. They will look, where is the Atma hiding in the body, and they will pull it out. And with your subtle body, they will drag you down to be judged by Yamaraj. They will pull out the Sukshma Sarir, or the subtle body that covers the soul and is connected to the gross body, or the Stul Sarir. If you still do not come by the hook and the rope, then they will start to beat you with a club. Why? They will not wait for us to complete our material affairs. Whatever our karma is, we will have to accept that when it comes. We see, however, with the Gopis, they had no Shakti attachment or anything. In one moment, when Krishna's flute call came, they departed instantly and went to him. In the 6th verse, we will now hear the commentary. The Gopis, in the evening times in the homes of the Gopas and Gopis, they would all take prasad together, and the Gopis would serve out prasad, or they would be giving milk to the calves, or serving their husbands, or eating themselves. But giving up all these activities, they ran to their beloved Sri Krishna. Sukadeva Goswami says, "O King, who is in this way attached only to their beloved Pran Priyatam Shri Krishna and is ready to put everything on one side and to give it up all at once? Who is that great personality who will accept the shelter of Shri Krishna and take his call to come to him? We know everything, but we cannot accept it and follow it. We know that we should not stay in this world, that we must at one day leave. Still, even though we have to go, we do not accept this and do not want to leave. We cannot be detached or ready to give up anything, but to speak of giving up family and society, we cannot give up bodily attachment or our mental attachments. But we see the Gopis, whether they were eating or doing anything, they had no taste for that. At once they gave it up. In this way, in the commentary, Sridhar Swami says, the gopis gave up their lok dharma, or their duties as a gopi in their homes. Some gopis were surrounded by their friends and by the different Brajbasis in Dasyaras. Even if they were serving out prasad to their families, they gave it up at once and ran. If their friends and parents would ask, "Where are you going?" they would not even respond. They would put down the plates or pots or whatever they were doing. Even in the middle of serving out the meal, they would leave. It is very difficult to give up a person that you have relation with, or have friendship with, or love for even. It's very, very difficult. But the gopis did not hesitate for even a moment to give up their families. We may leave secretly, but to leave in front of them is very difficult. Some people renounce their household life, but then afterwards they go back there, like Vantasis, that is a sannyasi who gives up family life and then again enters into family life, and their old love is rekindled. One may be in the dham, but then again he thinks of his past life. But with the gopis like this, whatever they were doing, if they were serving or cooking or feeding someone, they gave it up without looking back. They were not worried thinking, "Oh, they will reject us, oh, they will criticize us." And once they left also, they never thought that we will go back and be with them again. They were ready to give up everything and completely surrender to Sri Krishna. The gopis did not have children. We should understand these children that they were taken care of were not their own children, otherwise this would be rasabas. They were all kumaris, or like virgin maidens. Some gopis were bringing water for their household chores, but they gave that up at once. Everyone would be sitting down to eat. Their plates were all on the table, and the gopis were about to serve out prasad, but hearing the flute, they put the plate down and immediately ran outside of the house into the forest. Chakravarti Thakur explains in his Sarartha Darshani, the dharma of all women was given up by the gopis. Whatever they were doing, for example, they would be absorbed in so many varieties of services. But they gave up all this dharma in an instant when they heard the sound of Sri Krishna's flute. Now we will hear the next verse. In the 7th verse it is described, some gopis were putting kumkum and sandal paste on their bodies. This helps relieve one from the exhaustion of the day's work. So they would be putting on kumkum or chandan, but this wasn't the real reason they were putting it on. Anything that is connected to Sri Krishna, this is accepted. This helps protect us and also is a way of honoring Sri Krishna. So they would use the kumkum or sandal paste and other oils and ointments that had been used for Krishna and were his remnants or prasad from his bath and so forth, and they would use this on their bodies. If we are only absorbed in our bodies, feeding the bodies, or doing austerities, or fasting, or doing so many even vrat, tapa, and dhyan and so forth, but it's all in relation with the body, that does not help the Atma or the soul, and it does not give pleasure to Krishna. If we are healthy, if the body is happy and healthy, then it can be used as a tool for Sri Krishna. It can be accepted as an object for Sri Krishna's service, and then it is auspicious and worthy of respect. But if instead we do not take care of our body, then this is like not properly utilizing a gift that can be used for Krishna's service. On the other hand, also, if we are only using the body to engage in material activities, then this is also like the misuse of this gift that we have been given by God. So whatever the gopis were doing, if they were putting on kajal on their eyes, if they were putting kumkum on their bodies, if they were putting on sandal paste, or if they were dressing in nice clothes, and putting on nice earrings, what happened when they heard the sound of Krishna's flute? They were dressing, and then they would put like the belt for their waist on their neck, and their blouse in the wrong place. They would put their earring in their nose. Whatever they were doing, like if they were about to put on an earring, when the sound of Krishna's flute came, then as they were going to run, they would put that on their nose and start running. This is described to be like we hear in Shastra how someone can become Brahma-bhut, or completely absorbed in spiritual consciousness. But the gopis were even above this. This is like Krishna-bhut. Bhut means like a spirit, or like a full absorption, like a ghost also. Like we become haunted by Sri Krishna. Then where is our sangsar? Where is our place in this world that time? When we hear the sound of Krishna's flute, where will our samsar be? Wherever Krishna's smriti or remembrances, that cannot, nothing can enter that place. Therefore the gopis had no longer any shuddh buddhi, meaning any of their own mind or intelligence. As soon as they heard that, then it entered their hearts, and whatever they were doing, they gave it up. Some gopis were bathing, and they were putting on udbartan or arbata, chandan and kumkum, or different ointments. Some gopis they would paste mustard and then put a mustard paste on their body after bath. And this makes the body very beautiful and effulgent and healthy. And the gopis were massaging them this paste on their body, or bathing. Some gopis were still in like wet clothes and ran away doing, like some gopis were in the middle of their shower and then they just jumped out and put on still wet clothes and ran with that. Because we know, as we heard before, the gopis don't bathe naked after this Katyani Vrat. So they were bathing, and then in wet clothes they ran to Sri Krishna. Some gopis were putting on ornaments, and then they became so absorbed in Krishna, like they put their waist belts, which were very heavy, around their neck. We can see in Rajasthani some ladies wear ornaments which are like 5 or 10 kilos in weight. They're very strong and dressed like this. But the gopis forgot everything, like what are we doing, where are we putting what ornament, is everything in the right place or not? They were not thinking, oh, we will dress very nicely and then go. To please Sri Krishna, they immediately, before they were dressing nicely to please Krishna, to look beautiful for Sri Krishna, but hearing this flute sound, they no longer thought that we will dress nicely, that we'll put the ornaments in the right place. They immediately stopped whatever they were doing. Some gopis were dressing, and the cloth that goes around their waist, they would put that on their head, and below their waist they would put on their dopatta or their chadar that goes around the shoulders. In this way, Jiva Goswami Prabhu describes that some gopis were thinking about Sri Krishna all day and were in the moods of burning separation from him. And they were always thinking, will Krishna ever think of me? Will he ever accept me? Will I ever be able to offer myself in his service? In pure love for Krishna, they were always decorating themselves, thinking one day Krishna will accept me. And in this way, they were decorating themselves with the different Ekadas Bhav and the different types of ornaments. All these different ornaments are connected to the various bhavs, or pure moods of loving service. So in this way the gopis would decorate themselves, but when they heard the sound of the flute, they forgot all these things, where to put the ornament, where to put the cloth. When Krishna's call came, then they forgot everything, and with great eagerness they ran into the forest. They would take the necklace to put around their neck and put that on their ankles. In this way they dressed in such a manner that no one had ever seen like this before. They were dressed in a completely unique way. They would take their waistcloth and make a turban out of it. Or they would take a dupatta or chadar and put it on their waist. Or they would put all their clothes and put it as a turban. They were so absorbed, they did not know what they were doing. Like Krishna puts a dupatta on his waist and a turban. So thinking of Krishna, they would put on a turban and in this way run towards the forest. Their family members were seeing and saying, "What are you doing? Why are you dressing out? Why are you dressing like this and running into the forest in this strange manner? What happened to you? In a minute you have completely changed. Before you were peaceful, but now has some ghost entered you? Have you gone mad?" They say, "Oh, it is not an ordinary ghost, it is Nanda Bhoot." People would say, "Oh, as soon as that black boy came into Braj, now everyone is like haunted by him. Everyone is being destroyed by this black boy." The family members would say, stop her from running." But the older family members would say, "It is not possible. If they touch these girls, then they will also become haunted like she is. Therefore, do not look at her, do not try to stop her." But then what happened? The gopi ran into the forest and disappeared, and then a few minutes later they went into their rooms and saw, oh, she is at home. They saw the gopi is dressed nicely and cooking or milking the cow or tending the stove. Before they would, when she ran like this in a crazed state with her clothes all in disarray, then they thought, oh, she has become like Chandi, and she was running away. But then only a moment later they turned around, they saw, oh, there she is, cooking, cleaning, feeding the kids, and so forth. If someone becomes avishta like this, like the gopis were, even millions of lifetimes of a shakti or attachment to this world will be washed away in a moment. If we can become avisht or fully absorbed, all our different ingredients for ras will then enter within our heart. If we remember, therefore, the Brajadevis, or take darshan of the Brajagopis, or try to do kirtan or glorify their moods and their service, then we become purified in this way and we can follow in their footsteps. If the gopis do not give darshan to their families when they were going, then how would people get this mercy? They could have disappeared in a secret way, but they did not do that. They went out in front of everyone. They left completely avishta. Krishna saw, oh, they are all leaving everything and coming to me. But then Yogamaya arranged another form of each of the gopis, and however they were present before. Like if they were dressing, they would finish dressing normally. If they were sleeping, they would continue sleeping. If they were milking the cows, they would be milking the cows. If they were tending the stove, they would be doing this. Or if they were giving out prasadam, they would be doing this. In this way, there was no disturbance at their homes. To go and meet with their Priyatam, their beloved Sri Krishna. They did not wait for anything. However they were dressing, they gave up everything at once. if they were feeding their friends or their family members or giving sweets or milk to the children, what would they do? When that sound came of Krishna's flute, they gave it up at once and ran away. But then Yogamaya arranged another form of the gopis, and they continued in their duties. In the Sharartha Darshini, Chakravarti Thakur explains, the gopis had no material attachment. Still, when they came to Braj and achieved the bodies of gopis, they were connected to all the social dharma and rules of conduct. They were not acting in an unfettered manner from the proper dharma, not like things are today. But the gopis followed all the dharma niyam, the rules and regulations of dharma in society. However, when they heard Sri Krishna's flute, they became completely bhav avishta and ran to meet with him, giving up all bondage to dharma or their social rules of conduct. Now we will hear the next verse. What did Govinda do? He stole them all. What did he steal? First he stole their mind and hearts. They had no intelligence left. He stole their chitta. Chitta means like consciousness or heart or intelligence. They no longer thought, what will our family members say? What will people in society say? What would their father say? What would their brother say? But they did not think of any of these things. Krishna first therefore stole their chitta, their minds and hearts. They ran so quickly and like mad women. No one could even touch them, what to speak of hold them back. And they very quickly entered into the forest. Like when Sukadeva Goswami was born at the age of 16, he quickly ran into the forest, and his father was running behind him, calling out, "Ha, son, where is my son? Where is my son?" But they could not catch him. Some gopis were bathing. What did they do? Like, for example, when Sukadeva Goswami was running by, the damsels there who were bathing naked, they would not be disturbed by him. But when Vyasadeva came by, they came out before he came and dressed and offered him pranam. Vyasadeva asked, "Oh, I am very old with a beard. I am very aged. And when I have come, you have dressed and you are offering me respect. But when my young 16-year-old son was running by naked, then you were not disturbed and you did not come out and dress. You continued bathing naked before him without any shyness." Then they said, "Oh, if the person has no," it's said in Hindi, "Deha smriti nahitar sangsari karitar," means if you don't have any awareness of this body, if you are naked or not, or if you are a man or a woman, then if any other body is nearby you, you have no attachment to it. You have no akarshan, attraction, or ashakti, attachment to other bodies. This body is made of the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. What is seeing this? If you are attached to this world and matter, then you will have some transformation of lust, seeing a naked person of another sex or of the sex you are attracted to. But this Sukadeva Goswami has no attachment. He does not even know he is a man or a woman, or if he is naked or dressed. But you have awareness of what is samsara, what is man and woman, and so forth. Therefore, we follow our dharma before you. So in this way, the girls were teaching Vyasadeva. He said, "Oh yes, good, good. I was running behind him calling out, 'Oh my son, oh my son.' But who is the son and who is the father? God is the father of all. But in this world, we identify it in this way. Oh, this is my son, this is my father, and this is the root of our bondage to samsara." These kinds of material identification. However, the Braj Gopis had no attachment. When Krishna called them, Krishna stole their hearts and minds, and they ran at once to him. Krishna in this way stole their Atma. He saw this Atma is more beautiful and soft than butter. and is very tasty like fresh butter. But they are so beautiful, even more wonderful than everything else I've ever witnessed. Krishna is famous as the butter thief, but he stole the hearts of the gopis, which are softer and sweeter and tastier than butter. In this way, Krishna stole all the gopis out of their homes and brought them into the forest. No one had any power to stop them. If Krishna has attracted someone's chitta consciousness, what obstacle can stop one from reaching Sri Krishna? What power can stop one? It is not possible. In the Vaishnav Toshini, Jiva Goswami describes those who are Krishna Avishta Chitta, meaning fully absorbed in Sri Krishna, they will always be attached to Sri Krishna. However, for people who are absorbed in family life, who are not detached fully, they are living in this world with their family, how can they be freed? They may be present in their family and not have so much attachment, still they are there and have so many different kinds of duties. But by the power of the sadhu's harikatha, they can give up everything. We see the gopis. They were surrounded by their fathers, their brothers, their sisters, their husbands, their mothers, and in the evening time they were running into the forest. This is not the normal time to go out, so everyone asked them, "Where are you going? Why are you leaving all of a sudden, dressed in such a haphazard manner?" But the gopis did not have any minds of their own. Krishna had already stolen them. If someone was asking, "Why are you going? Where are you going?" Therefore, it is described that Krishna had already stolen their chitta, their consciousness and mind. It had left them. It had already arrived at Sri Krishna's lotus feet. Therefore, how could they be stopped? Therefore, they gave up their husbands, their brothers, fathers, mothers, sisters, in-laws, and so forth. Therefore, when the gopis were running away, their family members also did not fight with them. Only some gopis were kept behind, and they also quickly gave up their external sthul sarir and arrived before Sri Krishna in their spiritual forms. But we see the majority of the gopis, there was no obstacle, and they were let go without any fighting from their family members. Those gopis who were married with husbands, some were like that and some were not married yet. It's described for a woman when they are young, then they are maintained and protected by their father. Then when they are married, they are protected by their husband. When they are older, they are protected by their son. If they don't have a son, they are protected by a brother or their husband. In this way, the woman is described to always be under the protection of a male member of her family or relatives. However, we see with the gopis, even though they were surrounded by brothers and their father and their in-laws, still they immediately ran to Sri Krishna when they heard the sound of his flute, and their family did not stop them. Krishna Anurag, the pure love of Sri Krishna, entered their hearts. Therefore, their father, their brothers, their friends, seeing the gopis' utkanta, their deep eagerness and enthusiasm, if they would go near them to try and thinking that we will stop them, that completely changed by being in their proximity. Their utkanta would also enter into their brothers and so forth. This utkanta is a powerful eagerness and enthusiasm to serve or to go near Krishna. Then, when the gopis left and entered into the forest, the relatives had faith. Okay, they will also come back. They are our relatives. They have connection with us. Therefore, Yogamaya arranged other forms of the gopis, and also after Ras Leela was complete, Krishna sent the gopis back. When the gopis ran away, then their family members, after they would finish their activities, they all went to sleep, and for the entire night of Brahma, Krishna was dancing and playing with the gopis. Everyone was sleeping peacefully, and while sleeping, they would remember the gopis and peacefully sleep and dream of them. This remembrance of the gopis for the family members who were sleeping was very auspicious for them. If Govinda has accepted anyone as his own, if he has taken their chitta and stolen their hearts, then they have no shortage of anything, nor do their relatives. It is described that as the gopis left, Yogamaya created more murtis of the gopis and placed them wherever the gopis had been present amidst their family members, like their husbands or their sisters, elder sisters, their mother, and so forth. And no one was worried. If someone saw the gopis had left, they were not worried. They went to sleep and they slept for an entire night of Brahma. They had no worry of anything. And by remembering the gopis, their Bhagavad Bhakti increased more and more. Now we will hear more tomorrow. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Dandavat Pranams.